It's been a little over a week since the tragic shooting occurred in Connecticut at the Sandy Hook Elementary School. And last week on the show, we talked about the shooting. We talked about some of the ideas of what we believe was behind it, what we need to do about it. And of course, with the show being so short, we ran out of time. And so we're going to put some things up. And this is one of the things I'm going to do. I have a few of these that I might do on different aspects of it. But the one thing I want to address today is the National Rifle Association's response to this tragedy. The NRA was silent for about a week. They said they wanted to let the grieving process continue. They didn't want to throw this into the political realm right away, and they were being cautious. And some thought that that was an indication of how they were going to respond. Well, Friday they held a press conference, and one of the things they promised was a positive contribution, a major contribution to this conversation on how to address these mass shootings. And because they took a week, because of what they said, I was hopeful to find that I would hear a message that was conciliatory. I'm not saying conciliatory, but one of understanding, looking and seeing why people were saying what they were saying, and not necessarily change their bottom line. I mean, they are who they are. But I was disappointed. Um, the conference seemed confrontational. It seemed belligerent to one extent. Now, I will hasten to say that I do understand the NRA's initial, I have to defend myself and I have to turn the attention somewhere else because we're, as humans, when we're attacked, especially when we're attacked in the extreme, we tend to not address the issue. We tend to fight back. And this is what happened. I mean, people have been saying that the NRA is the new KKK. The NRA killed these children. And I'm sorry, folks, regardless of what you think about gun control or guns, the NRA is not the new KKK, and they did not kill these children. I know where you're coming from. I understand why you say that, but these folks did not kill those children. Adam Lanza did. Let's not lose sight of that. So I understand the NRA's put their fist up, defend yourself attitude. I was disappointed. I am a consensus builder, a bridge builder, a compromiser. And that's a bad word for many people, but I want to get things done. And the one thing that I know in this discussion about guns, you have got a section of the population that want guns banned. They think guns are wrong. They think people who decide that they need guns for whatever reason are just being wrong, and some will go even further. You've got a section of the country that says, I have my guns. You can't tell me to do anything anyway about my guns. So we got those two parts. The NRA already has this part over here who want their guns. And the NRA will never convince this part over here that says guns, all guns, should be gone. It's the center part. It's the middle part. And what I don't know if the NRA paid attention to or didn't think about was that part is big. It's the part of society that doesn't think about guns one way or the other, really. They don't own guns, or they maybe own a rifle because they go hunting every once in a while, but it's not a major part of their life until 20 children are murdered. And now they're sitting up and they're taking notice. And they're going, this is a tragedy. We can't have this. We have to stop this. And there's a call that makes emotional sense. Ban assault rifles. Why do you need a military assault rifle? Problem is the wording is inaccurate, but that's the group that Wayne LaPierre needed to reach. And he failed miserably, in my opinion. Now, he hit on some of the topics we talked about last week on the show. He hit on this idea of a culture of violence. Now, the way he said it, he blamed video games. He blamed movies. He blamed music. And I'm sorry, the video game, Call of Duty, didn't make this man go out and kill those children. But this culture of violence, I think the video games and the music and the video and the movies are an outpouring of our culture that says the answer to anything, any insult, is I'm going to punch you in the nose, I'm going to stab you, or I'm going to shoot you. So he attacked those. And then he did mention mental illness, which, as we said on the show last week, that's a big issue. As a matter of fact, I think the majority of those shooters in the last year have been people with mental illness not treated properly. So what was the big contribution, the big positive contribution that the NRA said they were going to do? They want Congress to pass legislation to put armed guards in every school. Now, you've got people screaming on one side saying, oh, we're going to make a prison out of our schools. Why should there be guards in the schools? I got to point out the hypocrisy of some of my friends on the left. There are police officers and armed security guard in many urban schools before any of this school shootings, and not related to this outside stranger coming into the school. We already have armed police officers or armed security guard in a lot of inner city schools. It's done to protect the students, the teachers, from each other and from outside influences. So let's tamp down that hypocrisy a little bit. Let's tamp down that, oh, we can't have armed guards. Really? We already have them, and you don't have a problem with them where they are. My problem with how the NRA responded is I thought they could win that middle group, or many of that middle group, by making some concessions that didn't actually take away too much from their bottom line. It wasn't too great compromises. If I had been counseling the NRA, here's some of the things I would say. I would have come out and asked Congress to add to the FBI NICS background check that every gun owner who buys a gun legally from a gun store or at a table at a gun show, to add a mental illness aspect to it. I don't know the details, and we could work out how we do that, but that should be something added. And the NRA should have come out and demanded and said, look, we want that legislation added. Does it hurt the NRA's Second Amendment rights? No. Because the NRA doesn't want mentally unstable people having guns. They're not. They don't. I would have come out and said, we've talked to the major arms manufacturers in this country, and we've collected a pool of money that we will give to school districts and states, not the federal government, to hire and train armed security guards for the schools. It won't cover everything, and states will have to kick in money for it, but we want our children protected. Them putting skin of their game into this, taking our money and putting into this, gun manufacturers putting it into it, because they're saying we don't want the assault rifle ban, but what are you going to do? How are you going to help? So I would have made that concession, and there might have been some others I might have made, but the concept is I wasn't trying to change the minds of the people over here who said they want all gun manufacturers out of business. And I didn't have to keep my buddies who say I want every gun there is, and you should never tell me I can't have anything. They had to reach the average person. And that's what I would have suggested that they did. I just want to make a quick point about the assault rifle ban, because it's important to know. It makes emotional sense. A guy used, apparently, an AR-15. He used a semi-automatic rifle built to look like a military weapon that shoots a bullet every time you pull the trigger. It's not fully automatic. It's no different than, say, an M1A1 rifle, except that the M1A1 has a more powerful bullet. The concept is you want to ban them. I want to point something out to you. We had a ban for 10 years. And during that 10-year period, there were 7 mass shootings. From that point the ban expired to the beginning of this year, there were 10 mass shootings. So there were a couple more, but they were about the same. Now you might be saying, well, why didn't you include this year? Because you know this year there's been 8 mass shootings. No, I waited for a minute, because this year proves my point. There was no change in the accessibility of firearms from 2011 to 2012. No one could get a firearm easier. There weren't more of them available. As a matter of fact, some of the questions that they added to the FBI NICS background check, they added some things that took a little bit longer. So it wasn't any easier to get a firearm that you could use. It wasn't any easier to get an AR-15. But there were 8 shootings in 1 year as opposed to 10 in 8 years. It's not access to firearms. And the ban of assault rifle weapons, we had it, and there were still 7 mass shootings. Now, there's a lot more to discuss about this subject, and we will talk about it more because we want to expand that more. But I just wanted to talk about the NRA for a minute. All right, folks, you can hear us Mondays, 1 to 2 p.m. on Spin FM 103.3 in Greenville, Greer, and Spartanburg, or also on canigetawordin.com, or go to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast channel, Another Voice with Jason and Eric. And don't forget to go to Fowler's Pharmacy, 1908 Lawrence Road, for your medical needs there, for prescriptions, and also sunglasses. They got one of the largest selections of sunglasses in the area. That's Fowler's Pharmacy, Greenville's neighborhood pharmacy, 1908 Lawrence Road. All right, until later this week, I want to have another segment dealing with the after Sandy Hook. Well, have a great day and Merry Christmas.